Danielle Carter hurried through the crowded JFK airport, her heels clacking against the glossy tiles as she darted past passengers dragging overstuffed suitcases and vendors, yelling out last-minute deals on neck pillows. Her flight to Los Angeles was already boarding, and she had exactly 9 minutes to reach Gate C7. Her heart pounded with every step, and not just because of the sprint. This flight was everything. It was her shot at a new beginning. An interview with the nation's top humanitarian nonprofit, an opportunity to leave behind late rent notices and shelf-stocking night shifts. She wasn't just chasing a plane, she was chasing purpose. She glanced at her phone. The time was merciless. Still 2 terminals away? She adjusted her tote bag, tightened her grip on the resume folder, and kept moving like a bullet. The loudspeaker overhead announced, "Final call for Flight 883 to Los Angeles. Boarding now at Gate C7. Her breath caught. "Please, God, just let me make it," she muttered, dodging a man wheeling a cart of hot pretzels. Then she saw him, an elderly man stood by a bench, hunched over his suitcase. The zipper was halfway open, clothes poking out, and his hands trembled violently as he struggled to zip it shut. His face was pale, a sheen of sweat above his brow. Something was off. Danielle slowed instinctively, then shook her head. She couldn't afford to stop. But just as she passed him, she heard the faintest whimper, followed by the unmistakable thud of someone sitting down too fast. She turned her head. The old man had collapsed onto the bench, one hand gripping the metal armrest, the other pressed to his chest. His breathing was shallow, eyes darting around in confusion. People kept walking by. A man with headphones stepped over the spilled contents of the suitcase without glancing down. A woman pushing a stroller pulled her child closer and moved around. The scene like he didn't exist. Danielle's feet were frozen in place, her chest tight. Every second was a decision. Keep going, secure the job, change your life. Or stop, help a stranger. Risk losing everything. Her conscience screamed louder than her ambition. She turned on her heel and rushed back. Kneeling down in front of him. She spoke softly. "Sir, can you hear me?" The man opened his eyes. Just barely, his lips trembling. "Hurts, chest." Danielle's training kicked in, what little she remembered from her late mother's nursing days. "Okay, don't move. I'm here." "I've got you," she said, grabbing the water bottle from her bag and placing it in his lap. She glanced around. No one was helping. No airport staff in sight. Just moving feet and cold indifference. She took out her phone to call 911. As she waited for it to connect, she grabbed the notebook from her tote and started scribbling his symptoms: chest pain, cold sweat, shortness of breath. Her hand trembled as she wrote, trying to stay calm. The voice on the line answered, and she quickly gave their location. The man clutched her wrist gently. His voice was barely audible. "Thank you for seeing me." And just like that, her flight disappeared from her mind. Her dreams were on hold, but someone's life was in her hands. The dispatcher's voice buzzed in Danielle's ear, calm but firm. "Ma'am, stay with him. Paramedics are en route." "Can you describe his condition again?" Danielle tightened her grip on the phone, shielding the man's face from the noise and lights around them. "Elderly male," she said, steady but urgent, mid-70s maybe, chest pain, labored breathing, cold sweat, conscious but weak response. "He just collapsed a few minutes ago. We're in Terminal B near gate signs, northeast side." She hung up and slid the phone back into her bag, then turned her attention fully to him. He was shaking now, tiny, involuntary twitches in his arms, a sign of distress. She folded her sweater and gently placed it behind his back to prop him. "Upright. Stay with me, okay?" "I need you to keep your eyes on me," she said softly, voice steady despite the chaos spinning around her. People slowed to glance now. Some stared, a few whispered, but no one stopped. A mother pulled her daughter closer. A businessman actually stepped over the man's suitcase like it was a speed bump. Danielle was invisible, just like he had been moments ago. She reached into her tote and pulled out a pen, flipping open the same notepad she'd used for interview prep just hours earlier. She quickly jotted down what she'd observed: time of collapse, his symptoms, approximate age, visible signs of distress. Her mother had always told her, when in doubt, document everything. She remembered sitting at the kitchen table watching. Her mom charted patient notes even when she was off the clock. "Observation saves lives, baby," she used to say. Danielle believed her now more than ever. The man's fingers clutched the edge of the bench as if he were holding on to more than just wood and metal. "They all walked past me," he whispered, barely audible. "I didn't," she replied. Brushing his forehead gently with a napkin she pulled from her bag. "I see you." A security guard finally noticed the situation and rushed over. "Is he okay? Did someone call emergency?" Danielle stood up halfway. "Yes, is on the way. He needs to stay upright and calm." The guard nodded, radioing in. "We've got a code 3 male, possible cardiac." Moments later, 2 paramedics appeared with a gurney, weaving through the crowd. Danielle immediately stepped aside, offering her notes. One of them scanned her page and blinked in surprise. "You a nurse?" "No," she said quietly. "Just someone who couldn't walk away." As they checked his vitals, she gently touched the man's shoulder. "You're going to be all right. Help is here now." He grabbed her hand one last time and tried to speak, but his words were drowned out by the sound of the gurney locking in place. The paramedics loaded him up and wheeled him away through a side corridor. Danielle stood frozen, surrounded by noise but alone in stillness. She glanced at the clock. Her flight had taken off 5 minutes ago. Her shot at everything she'd worked for was gone. But deep down something whispered to her. Maybe something bigger had just begun. Danielle remained standing in that same spot long after the gurney had disappeared down the corridor. Her body was still, but her mind raced with the reality she now faced. Her phone buzzed in her hand with a silent notification. She didn't need to look. She already knew. The boarding door had closed. Flight 883 to Los Angeles was in the air. And with it, so was her future. She slowly made her way to the gate. Not because she expected anything, just because some part of her still needed closure. The digital board flashed. Departed. Her fingers tightened around her tote strap, but her face didn't flinch. The gate agent didn't even look up as she approached. She didn't blame them. The airport never slowed down, not for heartbreak. Not for miracles. Danielle found an empty seat near the corner of the terminal, away from the crowd. Her legs finally gave in to exhaustion. She sat down, let her head fall back against the wall, and stared at the ceiling as fluorescent lights buzzed quietly above. This was supposed to be the biggest day of her life. She had played every part right: the outfit, the prep, the timing. She had sacrificed sleep, borrowed money for the flight, and poured every ounce of hope into this single moment, and she missed it. Not because she was lazy, not because she overslept, but because she stopped to help a stranger. Her fingers brushed against the edge of the notebook still in her tote. That same notebook now stained with the sweat of urgency, and a few stray pen marks she couldn't even remember making. She sighed and pulled out her phone again. No voicemails. No follow-up from the NGO. They wouldn't reschedule. It was over. A child screamed somewhere in the distance. 2 businessmen debated stocks over coffee. Life moved on like it always did for everyone else. Just then, a man in a tailored black suit appeared in front of her. He had the composed look of someone, important airline badge clipped neatly to his pocket, polished shoes, and a face that didn't smile easily. Danielle looked up at him cautiously. "Are you Danielle Carter?" he asked. She said slowly, wary. He nodded. "Please come with me. Mr. Langston would like to speak with you personally." Her brows pulled together. "I'm sorry, who?" "Mr. William Langston," the man said, his voice steady. "The gentleman you helped?" Her heart skipped. He's okay?" "He's recovering, but he was very clear he wants to see you, right now." Confused, Danielle stood up, holding her tote to her side. She had no idea where this was going, but something about the man's tone said this wasn't just a thank you, asterisk. As they walked past security toward a private elevator at the far end of the terminal, Danielle's instincts buzzed. Something was happening, something big, dog, and for the first time that day, she had no idea what to expect next. Danielle followed the suited man through a side hallway she didn't even know existed. The walls were lined with soft lighting and framed aviation photographs, planes in midair, handshakes on runways, grand openings of terminals, everything. Here felt expensive, quiet, removed from the rush and noise of the terminal. She'd just come from, asterisk, they reached a private elevator guarded by a tall woman in black uniform. She nodded at the man, scanned a badge, and opened the door without a word. Danielle stepped inside, still clutching her tote like it was armor. The doors closed with a soft hiss. Asterisk, as the elevator rose, her thoughts began to tumble over one another. Why was she being brought here? Why did this stranger, the man she had only known for a few minutes, want to speak to her personally? And how had he recovered so quickly? What kind of ordinary man had access to this part of the airport? The elevator dinged, the doors opened, to reveal a quiet, luxurious lounge. Thick carpet muffled her footsteps. The walls were glass. Looking out onto the tarmac where a sleek private jet stood under the sunlight, its surface gleaming. Lounge chairs were arranged like a five-star hotel lobby. A woman in a gray blazer offered her a bottle of water with a quiet smile. "Mr. Langston is just inside." Danielle stepped through the glass doors and found him. He was seated on a cream leather couch, looking much stronger now. A wool blanket draped over his lap. An oxygen tank stood nearby, unused. His cheeks had regained some color, and his eyes were alert, focused, almost piercing, asterisk. "Danielle," he said warmly, voice deeper than she remembered, with a faint rasp. "Please sit." Asterisk, she lowered herself cautiously into the chair opposite him. "You're looking better." Asterisk, "I owe that to you," he said sincerely. "If you hadn't stopped, I might not be sitting here at all." Asterisk, "I just did what anyone should," she replied. "Most people would have helped." Asterisk, "No," he interrupted, shaking his head. "They didn't. I saw them. Dozens walked by. Some looked. Some pretended not to. But you," he paused, "you came back?" Asterisk, Danielle looked down, brushing imaginary lint from her dress. "It just didn't feel right to leave." Asterisk, he studied her quietly for a moment, then leaned forward. "Let me introduce myself properly. My name is William Langston. I'm the founder and CEO of Langston Air." The words hit like a gust of wind. Danielle blinked. You own the airline?" Asterisk, "I do, and the nonprofit branch we fund, the Langston Foundation, partners with medical outreach programs around the world." Her heart thumped. "I heard you missed an interview," he continued, "with a humanitarian NGO in L.A. Asterisk, she nodded. "Yes, it was a big opportunity for me." Asterisk, he smiled faintly. "Then let me make a bigger one." Asterisk, Danielle froze. "What do you mean?" Asterisk, "I'm offering you a position with our foundation. I read your notes, watched how you handled crisis. You didn't panic, you documented. You took action, and above all, you cared." Asterisk, she didn't speak for a full 5 seconds. Her mouth opened once, then closed. Asterisk, I don't know what to say," she whispered. Asterisk, "Say yes." He said gently, "No interview required." Asterisk, she laughed, softly, half shock, half disbelief. "Is this real?" Asterisk, William Langston leaned back, his eyes kind. "You gave up something important for a stranger. So let me give you something back." Danielle stared. Out the oval window of the private jet, as it ascended above the clouds, the New York skyline shrinking beneath her like a toy model. The seat beneath her was smoother than any fabric she'd ever sat on, soft beige leather with stitched trim. A glass of water rested on the tray beside her, untouched. Her fingers trembled slightly as they clutched the edges of her notepad. The same one she used to scribble symptoms. Now held something new, a formal offer letter from the Langston Foundation. Asterisk. The hum of the engines filled the silence around her, but inside her chest, it was anything but quiet. Her heart raced, not with fear, not with regret, but with something rare. Something like hope. She glanced across the aisle. Mr. Langston sat calmly in his seat, eyes closed, oxygen tube in place, but face peaceful. His assistant, the same man who had escorted her earlier, sat across from him, typing on a slim tablet. Danielle looked back at the clouds. She still couldn't believe it. In a single day, she had gone from a frantic job seeker in a crowded airport to a guest on a private jet, headed not just toward opportunity, but purpose, and it had all started because she stopped to care. Her phone buzzed in airplane Wi-Fi mode. It was a text message from the NGO. "We're sorry to inform you the interview cannot be rescheduled. We wish you the best in your future endeavors." Danielle smiled. For the first time ever, rejection didn't sting. It felt like release. Like proof that the closed door wasn't a punishment, it was a redirection. She pulled out her phone's Notes app and typed a message to herself. "I thought I missed my flight." But I didn't. I caught the right one. The one that actually mattered. Suddenly, she thought of her mother. All those years of watching her patch up wounds, help sick neighbors, stretch their meals for others, even when they had little themselves. Danielle had always wondered if kindness was really worth it in a world that seemed to reward ambition over compassion. But today, the answer was clear. She whispered to the window, almost like a prayer. "I hope you see me now, Mama." Below her, the world stretched wide and bright. Somewhere, miles beneath, people rushed through terminals, checked clocks, argued with gate agents, and ran for flights they thought they couldn't miss. But here she was, in the sky, calm, free, and finally seen. Mr. Langston opened his eyes slowly and looked over at her. "You all right?" She nodded with a quiet smile. "I'm more than all right. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." He chuckled softly, leaning back into his seat. And as the jet soared westward toward a new beginning, Danielle closed her eyes too, letting the past fall away like the runway disappearing behind them.